The second flight service for the island is still not at its capacity, but times for the arrival and departure will continue and later than the last week's flight service. Air New Zealand General Sales Agent Plenty's travel advice today, the flight will now arrive to the island 5 minutes to 2 o'clock in the afternoon and will depart the island at 5 minutes to 3. Check-in time for all passengers remains at the current time of 9 a.m. The change is due to daylight savings. The previous influx of visitors to the island has warranted the second flight, whilst extra accommodation has also increased the numbers provided to meet the requirements to warrant the second air service. Air New Zealand's second service will depart New Zealand on a Wednesday, arrive in Niue on Tuesday. The project to renew power cables around the island is making good progress, reaching the northern side of the island. The European Union-funded project has been a topic of mixed reactions as public concerns have also been raised over the state of the roads since the project started and the risks posed to those using the roads. Honourable Premier Toke Talangi says that people need to be mindful and to use common sense to slow down when in these areas to avoid vehicles getting stuck in some of the trenches. Previous statements made that the trenches would be filled with assistance from the Roadworks Division have not been forthcoming, and members of the public have taken it upon themselves to fill in potholes rather than wait. Honourable Premier Talangi says that once the cable has been installed around the whole island, then work to reseal the roads and trenches will commence. This week, the cabling team made it to Hikitawaki where the road was closed and traffic was diverted to use the Waipapahi to Maleko access road to avoid any delays. The first ever New Zealand Parliamentary Forum with their Pacific counterparts in New Zealand is about to take place, and Niue received an invitation for 2 representatives to undertake the task of presenting Niue's objectives among other matters. Honourable Vainga Tukuitonga, one of the political veterans on the island, and Honourable Talaisi Tama Talaisi will take on the debate next week in Wellington. According to Honourable Tukuitonga, this forum is the best move New Zealand government has ever initiated to gauge the responses from its Pacific neighbours and within the realm of New Zealand. She said there are specific topics introduced for the forum. However, she will only address the topics that are relevant to Niue, and some of those topics include population, gender balance, environment. Reports from New Zealand said the idea for the Pacific Parliamentary meeting came from a recent Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade Select Committee review of New Zealand's relationship with Pacific states. One of the most significant heritage sites on the island was blessed this morning as a clearing project began with the mammoth task. Fatua ua o Whalepipi he Mawhala in Tuapa, known for the place of kings of old and a place of considerable significance, is expected to receive as much attention as those already cleared. Some of the families from the areas in Fatua were gathered with the director of Taonga Niue and village representatives to mark the beginning of a continuing effort to recognize the significance of the historical site. Moira Enetama from Taonga Niue expressed a very important remark during this morning's blessing, that heritage and history belong to all who are Niuean, and most importantly for the coming generation to understand and acknowledge their existence. The importance of maintaining Niue's place in history reflect also in the global push to ensure these exist and continue its place in people's identities. Whalepipi he Mawhala, meaning the House of United Peace, is located in Tuapa Uamotu, the old township of Niue. Whalepipi he Mawhala housed the foundation of the old meeting house of kings and chiefs of old and the old Justice House Foundation, the place of Tokamotu, as well as remnants of yacht or ship sculptures and other historical remnants. Reverend Aifulia Pomale, who blessed the area, voiced sentiments in his prayer that whatever difficulties and conflicts that has surrounded the site must realize the importance of the meaning in history, and actions and decisions must reflect this historical significance. The project to clear the area or around this historical site is expected to take 2 weeks. Understanding factors that influence consumers to purchase local produce is the focus of research being conducted by the Department of Agriculture with assistance of the Food and Agriculture Organization. The department is exploring avenues where agricultural products can have value added to increase returns for local farmers. Dr. Nelly Manalili is a consultant from FAO-TCP, providing assistance with processing and value adding of agricultural products for Niue by holding a series of interviews and distributing surveys taking into consideration the crops already available on the island.
We have to consider the crops that are already in production volume and also their comparative advantage compared with those that are coming from New Zealand and those that can be marketed locally and those that have potentials for value adding.
These surveys will target retailers, consumers, tourists, and others who buy local processed food to understand their expectations and demand for the items. A series of interviews are being conducted to gather data looking at factors that influence demand, such as the consistency of supply, packaging, market requirements, and price. But there are some local products that look quite promising based on production and value.
In terms of the production volume and value, your top crops include taro, coconut, and we are looking at processing or value adding to taro in terms of processed chips, or could be frozen chips as well. We're looking at vanilla also in terms of the vanilla extract, but we're getting that this is critically going on its own, but still there is an issue in terms of production. So if we want to push the vanilla as locally and as an export product, then we have to really pay attention to production concerns. Coconut is growing a lot but some are old, most are old actually, but it has potentials in terms of the oil, in terms of the cosmetic oil, but also in terms of cooking oil. I just have to figure still out how acceptable coconut cooking oil will be in terms of acceptability to the locals.
Dr. Manalili says that Niue is also in a unique position due to its size and labor market that will probably mean focusing on some niche markets.
It's always an issue of the value adding and market access. But what is different in the island is the smallness of the production and the issue on labor. In some countries that I've been with and I have worked with, labor is abundant and production is abundant. And so that's where the difference lies. So I guess we have to have a different approach. We might be focusing on high value, low volume kind of products to be able to make it marketable and sustainable and viable part of it.
This is a continuation of some research carried out last year, but the hope is that once this process is complete, it will give a clearer indication on how to progress with processing of value-added products and better return for farmers. And to end our news bulletin for tonight, yesterday's Niue High School students put on a show to display vast talents, celebrating diversity with a multicultural dance concert held at the Niue High School Multipurpose Hall. Senior students stepped up to the mark to lead their teams and take up the challenge to select the ethnic group, music, choreograph dances, and put together a range of items. Each of the teams had a Niuean item, but also highlighted dances from different ethnic groups. For Port team, their version of Ganem style added some island flavor to the mix, creating and excited stir amongst spectators. The Samoan dance were also very amusing, not forgetting a performance by the girls from the island of Tokelau. The yellow and black team of Kieta were amped up with their chest-pumping, gyrating moves to an Indian dance. On top of that, they had an item representing Aotearoa, New Zealand. Langakali boys proudly performed their chants from Hawaii in some interesting outfits, while the girls looked more prim and proper in their attire, inspired from the Philippines. Moya came out in an array of outfits with dancers from the Kingdom of Tonga, the Cook Islands and French Polynesia. Even students from Niue Primary School had the pleasure of being part of the spectators throughout the whole concert. Some parents commented on the amount of effort put into the outfits worn by the groups and hoped they would have another chance to put them to good use. According to teachers from NCEA level will be graded on these performances, and based on the response from spectators, it looked like an excellent showcase. A good round off to term 1 as students look forward to a break as school finishes tomorrow and taking pride in celebrating Niuean culture and arts with the 3rd Arts Festival ahead. That's our news bulletin for tonight. Good evening.